Hey everybody, John here. Just got back from a fantastic New York event. So was up there with our good friend Cliff Malloy and a whole host of others. So we were downtown Manhattan and had a fantastic biz op meeting and a training. The event after the event was awesome. I think we had about 80% of those who attended plugged into the Chinese place we went to right off of 35th Street called Chef Yu. Pretty interesting name, if you ask me. So where'd you go? Chef Yu. So, so we had a lot of fun. You got to keep it fun, keep it light. Okay. Um, so all right. Question. Anybody chime in? We're going to go back to the law of solid ground. I asked these questions last week, give you guys something to think about. How effective will a leader be if he or she has lost the trust of the team? How effective will a leader be if he or she has lost trust of the team? Anybody got a thought to that?
Yeah, not very.
No longer
John?
relate.
There won't be a team. They'll all go away.
Okay. Now, why would they all go away?
Well, if they have common sense, they wouldn't follow someone that they, don't trust or have respect for. So that's just my thinking.
Yeah. Now, you would have to really, really breach the trust of a team to have everybody kind of abandon you, I would think.
Okay.
I would think that we are also a people that are, I think we've seen it as a country, we're a country of second chances. I don't disagree, but you would certainly have to breach a huge trust. I can think of a previous CEO who did some things that were pretty terrible. We stayed aligned, we stayed in the game until the point came where it just got pretty bad, you know. So I think people want to believe, but does anything kind of come to mind specifically, that maybe could kind of.
Well, John, I would say that you lose congruency, that the team doesn't have any way to hold itself together. If let's say if there was nobody on here hosting, we always have somebody that's kind of the designated host or whatever. But if not, everybody tends to just sit there and know it's like bouncing against the walls. Nobody knows what they're doing. There's no direction.
Okay. If you're a good leader, and you're building a team and you need a sub or something comes up, there should be others. I mean, that's where we go back to the law of solid ground. That's where we go back to the law of the lid and things like that. I know numerous times, I know a couple of times with Harlan. He was unable due to a plane or something else that was going on. He couldn't make the call and he reached out to me. I know another time where I believe it was Melanie Lawson was doing a call. I'm just thinking of some of the corporate stuff, and she was a no-show, but we were still able to pick it up and kind of still run with it. Makes sense? So, you're gonna if you're in battle and you're the commander, pick any one of our theaters. I mean, Teresa, your background is government. I might use the wrong words here. But let's say and when I speak of a theater, Afghanistan was we were at war. That's a theater. Iraq was a theater. For Israel, Palestine. That's a. Anyhow, if Jane, you're my commander, and I'm a lieutenant, and we're going into war, we're going into battle, and we lose you, you get shot. Do we all just cave in and stop? No, of course we don't.
No.
Brenda, if you've got a team and you're playing a scramble and 3 of your players hit it into the water, can you still step up and find the fairway?
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's the beauty of kind of what we do, ladies and gentlemen, is there's going to be a time where, I mean, I had Darcy and I spoke at a leader at our church. We were the keynote speakers at our marriage conference on Friday night. I told Cliff I couldn't get there until Saturday morning. The meeting started at 11. My plane landed at 10. Everything had to go just right for me to get in that Uber at LaGuardia to get downtown. And unfortunately, I got downtown at 10:45, 15 minutes early. So I was able to make it. But the contingency plan was very simple. Fred DaCosta was ready to step up and deliver a smoking hot, legal prepaid legal shield briefing. You know what I mean? Now, had that contingency plan not been in place and I wasn't able to make it at 10 o'clock, any one of you on this phone could have, should have, as an example, taken that leadership role and looked at that room with all the power of the leader that you are and confidence and just crushed that thing. Maybe even done a better job than John Hoffman. The guest doesn't know. So, I mean, anyhow, just an example there, the things I'm thinking of as an example in losing trust of your team, if we're speaking in legal show terms, might be you telling people, not necessarily you guys, telling people to do something you're not doing. Oh, you guys need to recruit. Oh, you guys need to show up for events. You guys need to build for events. You need to be part of a performance club, and you might motivate people for a minute. Then all of a sudden they see, well, you're not qualified. Teresa, you got something you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say when you lose the trust of the leader, it could lead to a lack of credibility. So whenever the trust is broken, team members, they start to question the leader's decisions and their intentions and their capability. And also they're going to be resistant to guidance. The buy-in is just not going to be there. They're going to struggle with buying in.
Yep.
I'm thinking of things like that. The morale is going to drop
Right.
because maybe the environment, the trust has created a toxic environment where people are uncomfortable. They're not communicating with each other, afraid to communicate, afraid to say stuff because they don't know what's going to happen. And then lastly, people aren't going to stay around. I agree with Brenda. I don't think the whole team is going to fall away, but I think that there'll be high turnover constantly because of the loss of the key talent. People are going to walk away. They're not going to want to stay in that kind of environment.
Yeah. And all those things you're saying are potential things that could happen for sure. And I would believe that for that kind of catastrophe to happen and people to truly all walk away, you would have a series of trust breaches, Robert and Calvin, I'll come to you just here in a second. Actually, think about this. I'll go to Robert and Calvin. Can a leader earn a team's trust back? So think about that for a second. Robert.
Speaking to a situation in my own life, John, I was a single parent raising 3 kids. I was never very good at managing money. I was certainly not building wealth. And I tried to teach my children to live on 80% of their income, save 10% for unexpected expenses and 10% that they never touched at all. It didn't work. Surprise, surprise. I'm also in a situation where I'm in an organization, in a church actually, with a young minister who has made some terrible decisions, and he's lost my trust, that's for sure. And I suspect a lot of other people's, because the size of the congregation has diminished significantly. So that's my comments. Back to you.
Well, you know what, Robert, thanks for sharing that. And I mean, from a congregation perspective, I would imagine that minister probably had a series of things that he did that kind of cost the congregation to take off, because I would think the congregation's probably got grace. You already answered the question to number 2, and I'm sure your kids probably feel the same way, and that is, can you earn trust back? I believe you can when you're honest, like you just were. I didn't do very good at teaching wealth. I didn't do very good at my finances, but guess what? You know, I realized it, I admitted it, and my teaching was wrong. I tell you what, I can give a person a lot of grace right there. And if a person's willing to learn from their mistakes, you know, I'll come right back and align with them and say, hey, let's get this right together. Calvin, real quick, then we'll go to Ken, and then I'll kind of pop into a couple other things. Good conversation, everybody. Calvin?
Thank you, John. At first, I'd like to say that Ms. Johnson really brought in a whole lot of points that I feel she had from experience, which is very, very helpful. Mine is from the book. I was looking at page 63, where, to answer your second question first, when the people realize that the leader has made a mistake and then he fesses up to it, then that's when they can gain, you know, they can respect the person again after that. Also, when John made an analogy when he led this church in San Diego. He was senior pastor, and he made rash decision without processing the decision. And then when he did make that mistake, they knew he had messed up. But it also goes on to say that when leaders have a certain amount of change in their pocket, as they make good decisions, they add change. And when they make bad decisions, they lose some change.
Very good.
The more the more good decisions you make, you know, will allow you to make a bad decision and not lose it all. So that's how I looked at it as well. So thank you. Everybody is saying good points, and Robert as well. Thank you. That's
Very
it.
nice, Calvin. Very nice. Ken, let's go to you, and we'll go to another subject.
Very quickly, one of the factors I think that keeps good leaders, average leaders from being good leaders is poor communication. I see it particularly in the political side of things, on both sides of the parties. If somebody would periodically just sit down, you might agree or disagree with me. Here's why I made this decision. I also I was in the corporate world for many years before I got into this, and I saw it in chief executive officers were brilliant people, but they couldn't sit down with a working class people and tell them why we were doing things the way we were doing them. And I think that's really lacking today.
That's so good, Ken. I couldn't agree with you more. Say what you mean what you say, and always engage others. There's nothing I hated more growing up. It's kind of through life is to have dictates, you know, from so-called leaders. Well, this is what we're going to do. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And we sit there and we go like, why isn't there communication on this? Because you're not casting any vision. You're not really painting a picture of what it can look like if we do that. What are the decisions behind it? You know, and that's one of the things I like about what's happening today is you have a company that is hiring and spending a ton of money on research before they make decisions, as well as engaging the field. And that's really due to Warren having ears to listen versus previous administration who threw out dictates to all of us. And so that's part of the reason we've seen such positive change. Very good, Ken. Thank you. All right, let's go. Let's just kind of jump in for a minute here. And let me get my book. I keep going to the wrong book here. I go to my workbook versus my actual book. So here's a couple of notes. So the law of respect on page 74. We all know Harriet Tubman's story. It's really quite amazing, you know, and something we've taught for a long time that kind of speaks to the story with Harriet is do the thing, you'll have the power. Okay, she probably was never a person who was going to be recognized for her leadership capabilities. You know, if you were to simply go on looks, and you kind of saw that as the chapter started out. But guess what? She made 19 trips, you know, with the Underground Railway, 19 trips. I imagine her first trip was pretty damn hard. I imagine all 19 were radically hard, but she learned things all along the way. And I can't say probably back in those times that you could map out a specific strategic and tactical plan. Her vision is much like, I think, a lot of our vision. We were sold out for this opportunity. We were sold out to Harlan's vision of equal justice under law. come hell or high water, no matter what anybody said, we were going forward. Harriet Tubman basically said two things. Either I have liberty or I have death. Harriet Tubman was sold out. So it was either going to be liberty and I'm going to be a free woman and I'm going to help other slaves be free, or I'm going to die. Either one is going to happen, but I'm committed. I'm committed to my mission. I'm committed to my vision. And, you know, that's kind of what we've spoke to a lot of times since the beginning. Teresa, you know, we go back 26 years talking about this. The founder of IBM is the one that made the quote, do the thing and you'll have the power. Probably not going to have the power in the first 10 minutes after doing the thing. Maybe not going to make your first 3 sales out of your 10 appointments, you know, but guess what? Do the thing, and over a little bit of time, you're going to have the power. Page 76 is kind of where I got ahead of myself. You know, that's what I talk about. She was sold out. You know, that's the liberty or death. Page 79, number 1, every person can become a leader. Let me find that real quick. 79, am I right? 79 right here. Natural leadership ability. All right. However, as I've stated, in the law of the lid and the law of process, every person can become a leader. How did that register with a lot of you? How did that register with any of you as you read that? Anybody want to share?
I'll go again, John.
Okay,
Robert in Louisville, Kentucky. I was always a support person, a behind the scenes type person. So being a leader does not come naturally to me. But I have seen over the past few years that I've been in situations where I've had to step up, and my leadership ability is definitely developing. I don't consider myself a leader at this point in time, but I'm well on my way. Back to you, sir.
Good. So Robert, we can be in agreement that every person can become a leader, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, good. Do you all remember the story I told? And what kind of saddens me a little bit about it, and Robert, Robert, I'm going to tell you right now, today, we've been together a long time, my friend. I see you as a leader. I don't see you becoming a leader. I don't see you needing to wait to be a leader. I see you as a leader. I see you showing up. I see you being consistent in the events and things that we do. Now, there's some things that we can work on.
Yep.
And there's things that I'm willing to celebrate, recognize, and edify to come alongside you to do it. But I see you as a leader.
Thank you, sir.
I just wish, and I'm saddened that somebody didn't come to you and say that earlier, because if we will speak to the unseen, and I'll go back to Darcy's book, The Fact and Potential. The fact is this, and the true potential is that. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But let me ask y'all if you remember the story I told on stage in Oklahoma City about the founder of ARC, Association of Related Churches. His name was Billy, and he was the father-in-law to the pastor, Chris Hodges, of one of the fastest growing and biggest churches in the world, the Church of the Highlands in Birmingham, Alabama. 6th or 7th grade, I believe it was, the teacher in the classroom. Yeah, I hope you just bear with me, guys. This is just a good story and kind of speaks to Robert here for a second and all of us. The teacher puts a math equation on the board, looks out to the class and says, "Can anybody solve this?" Billy raises his hand, goes up to the board and writes the answer and sits down, and the teacher says, "That's not right, Billy." He says, "The answer is right, Miss So-and-so." And she says, "The answer is right, but you didn't show your work." He says, "I don't need to show my work. I got the answer right." So he kind of smarted off. He probably shouldn't have done that. But the teacher goes and says, "Billy, you're a loser, and that's why you'll never amount to anything." So the teacher said that to him, And that year he drops out of school. Those words were death unto a young kid. In the meantime, he's doing everything that the world wants you to do, drinking and just like going nowhere in life. And he's working in a factory. In the factory, he is solving every problem in that factory that even engineers are having a hard time fixing, solving problems, fixing equipment, boom, 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 boom. And one of the principals of the company comes in and says, Billy, you are simply amazing. Whatever you put your head to, you will be successful. You can do anything in life you want to do. And boom, a seed was planted, a new seed was planted. The fact was that Billy was a factory worker. Was that his true potential? No. The fact was Robert was kind of second in command with the things that he did most of his life. The fact was that what he did, but was that Robert's true potential? No.
No.
The fact is today you might be a senior associate, manager, director. The fact is maybe you've been a director for 8 years. Is that your true potential?
No.
Absolutely not. And so every person can become a leader. And it's especially important for each one of you to know in your business, whose business?
My business.
Your business, Brenda. Lisa,
Yes.
your business. Teresa, your business. Rayetta, your business. Jane, Robert. That's who I can see on the screen right now. It's your business. Calvin, it's your business. Every one of you can communicate vision to the people that you're looking to recruit and to the people you are recruiting. Every one of you can edify and speak to that associate who part-time wants to make $500 a month, to that single mom who says, I want to put my kids in private education. Can you help me? Every single person who says, hey, look, I'm tired of being downsized and never getting paid what I'm worth. Every one of us can speak vision. Teresa Johnson came to me 26 years ago. She looked me in the eyes and she said, John, when Prepaid Legal acquired the People's Network, she said, John, Teresa, go ahead and say what you said to me.
Is this going to be good for us?
She said, is this going to be good for us? And I could look at Teresa, and with all the sincerity and character and integrity that I carry, I could look at Teresa and say, yes, Teresa, it's going to be. And here we are 26 years later.
Wow.
Many, many, many others went and did other things. As a matter of fact, one of the top executive producers for that company, the People's Network, I saw his mugshot on a paper somewhere in the Northeast because he robbed a bank. He robbed a bank. He's still in prison today. And this was one
No
of the
way.
producers. He sold his business to Paul Meyer, and that business is still producing 6 figures every single year. Okay. And he made his decisions based on emotion, based on feelings. Teresa didn't have to believe me, but Teresa bought into her leaders, her friends, when we said, yes, I'm going forward, Teresa, I'm sold out. It's going to be good for us. Teresa says, with faith, I'm going forward. And here we are 26 later. Understand everybody, my last part of this, the fact was I was framing houses for $7 an hour. Fact was, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Fact was, I was bartending at night. I met the most beautiful girl in my life. I wanted to marry her the moment I saw her. We fell in love. She had a different story than I had. She built a chain of tanning salons. She would pull up in her pretty red little Saab convertible while I was standing on a roof framing houses, and she would bring me bologna sandwiches or whatever, turkey sandwiches, and she'd give me. I felt like crap. I felt like a loser. But I knew I wasn't a loser. I knew that the fact was I needed to find a way. I was a hard worker. I had character, I had integrity. I needed a vehicle. And I needed some people to kind of invest in me from the standpoint that, hey, you've got this, big guy, go get it. Anyhow, I hope that can breed some hope, maybe not just in you, but a vision and an awareness where you're doing that for others. Okay. What we're doing, guys and gals, isn't for you tonight. This is for the team you're going to build and the team you're building. Let this be ingrained in your heart. Meditate so that it becomes and rolls off your lips to make a difference in the other people's lives. All right. Anybody else on that? Who else? Robert spoke up. You're getting way too much of me. I need more of y'all. Anybody else on, can every person become a leader? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Ray Willie from Farmington, New Mexico, Shiprock, New Mexico.
Okay.
I think everybody has a potential to be a leader, but they got to find it within themselves. Like myself, I tag myself as a Native American. I tag myself as a shy person, tag myself as I don't fit in, but I am a leader because people do listen to me. They do follow me. And I have to like find my courage to step up, find my courage to talk, find my voice. And in doing so, I have a lot of people patting me on the back and saying great job. And it's a slow process to find your footing, to find who you are. And a child can be a leader. A tiny little child can be a leader if they can step into who they are. So I've been finding my way and it's been a journey. So I'm just ready to step up to the next level and see what I can accomplish. So back to you.
All right. And you said it was Willie, is that right?
Yes, Willie.
Thank you. Very good. Now let me ask you a question. What if you don't find it within yourself? What happens?
I guess you just decide that you don't want it. You have to want it.
What happens if someone else comes along and kind of speaks to really what's in you and helps you to find it?
Yeah, I've been finding those people. I went to a military school. The military school asked me, "Do you want to be a cadre?" I said, "Yes, I want to step into leadership." And telling brand new cadets the rules of the school, it pushed me out of my comfort zone and I had to step up into leadership. I had to wake the new cadets up and I had to bang on their doors and I was totally uncomfortable. I was soft-spoken, shy, timid, and I had to pretend that I was mean and aggressive. And a lot of times I would turn my face away from the cadets cuz I was just so scared that I didn't want them to see me in fear. I had to come across as a leader. And so sometimes stepping into leadership, it is scary. It's very scary. If you don't know what you're doing, what you're saying, just it is scary to find your voice. But with every little tiny practice, every little time you do the presentation, every little time you say hi to somebody, it's you get a little bit better every time. And one day you find out, oh, I do have a voice. I can speak. I'm sold a membership. I've got 5 memberships sold. I can talk to a decision maker. I can schedule. And things begin to change and all of a sudden you're in the game
Very
and
good.
now you're ready to bring other people into the game.
Yep. All right. You're getting a bunch of smiles and applause out there. So, here's what I want you guys to write down. You better be real careful about the world's lie and the words of death that come from the world. She's using the words like I was shy and I was timid. That's the world's garbage. That's the world's lie. If you speak those words on yourself, you're going to find yourself timid and shy in a little corner of your room the rest of your life. All right? Because those are lies. And the world tells a lot of lies, especially the enemy of this world. Okay? So someone in the military school said to that group, who wants to be a cadre? Someone in the military planted a seed in Rayetta's life, and she says, I do. And boom, She stepped out of her comfort zone and started doing things, realizing it's tough, it's uncomfortable. And then look what kind of happens. There is leadership in me. There is potential in me. There is purpose in me. There is truth. It's scary to be broke. It's scary to live lonely. It's scary to have fear. But guess what? There's an alternative to all those lies if we speak those words. It's scary to stay as a senior associate. But guess what? We can change it. And that's the power of what we're doing here. There's them damn kids again. Yeah, those little punks. These little kids are coming and dining and knocking on our doors and taking off running. It's like, oh, I just want to go get them. I'll be right back. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. How about number 2? Let me hold on. So number 1, every person become a leader. One of the things that will help you in that leadership is speaking the vision, edifying, speak to the unseen, speak to what's capable. The fact might be that they're a bartender. The true potential is that they can be a platinum in Legal Shield. The fact is they might be living below their means, and with more month at the end of the money, the true potential is you can be financially free. Okay. Respect for others. Treasure. Okay. Respect for others. What's a good way in the world of Legal Shield to show respect for others? Anybody on that one? Anything come to mind? Jane?
I can think of showing respect is just listening to a person, just closing your mouth and let that person talk, because they'll get it out, whatever they is inside of them that has to come out.
Okay. Okay. How would you do that? How would you kind of go about that with somebody like me?
I would first of all sense that you and like talking, so I would just kind of ask you, how are you, and I'll let you go talk about everything that has to be talked about, and I will just kind of patiently wait until you ask me a question and invite me to share who I am.
Okay. Sorry. I got little hoodlums messing with me right now of all nights when I'm doing this. Okay. All right, good. So let me ask you all this one. To gain respect for others, when you think of our business, can you think of anything that we do that we've taught the last 20 years that comes into mind here? Let me know if he gets them.
Celebrate others.
Say it again.
Celebration of others. and
Good.
their
I like it.
accomplishments.
Celebration of others. Okay. What if you've got a brand new recruit? No, you've got a prospect. How can you need to garner a prospect's respect in order for them to say, man, Teresa, I like what I see. I'd like to do this business with you. You got to earn some respect to get that yes. What's something that we've taught you guys?
John, 3-way calls. That way the person, the expert, edifies you right back.
That's good. That's good. So,
Hey, John?
yeah, go ahead, Calvin, real quick.
Yeah, I would say first thing you want to do is give them a compliment when you meet them. You want to say something positive, tell them something that they want to hear. Then you want to find out a little bit about them and let them know that, hey, I'm here to see if I can help you, or what do you need? Or give me some background. Tell me a little bit about yourself. So that's how I would start it, and then go from there. They will say what it is they need eventually.
Okay. So if I were to ask each one of you,
John, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Teresa, hold on just for a second. If I were to ask each one of you, did you catch them? Oh, yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying my evening as much as I am. It's like,
Breathe.
I'm like, so I'll have to tell you all this story about this some other time. Anyhow, if I were to ask each of you on a 1 to 10 where your knowledge and awareness was and how much you've used this, I have to be honest with you, I'd be very disappointed. Because I think you guys, if you were to be honest with me, would say, I missed it. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm just a bad communicator or Darcy is. There's a tool at Shield Nation that is probably the greatest tool to earn respect before a person ever inks an application. 2 words, treasure hunt. There's nobody like Darcy who has taught this. We teach it in the church. We teach it in our children's lives. We teach it in business, and we teach it in Shield Nation. It's called treasure hunting. Master the art of these questions, and you are going to earn immense respect, not only from prospects who become associates, but you're going to watch that duplicate through an organization, and you're going to watch a culture build based on the ebook and the questions because of the sincerity of a leader. So, Teresa, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say, the treasure hunting. And also I was going to say, building a relationship. I know for 26 years, Bill and Annette Hamilton and yourself, John, have talked about this business really is a relationship building. And so when you start out trying to build that relationship with that new person through treasure hunting, then you get to know more about them. They get to know more about you. That folds in the trust. They're willing to follow you. You build that respect. You know, as you said, respect has to be earned. It's not just given. So by doing some of those things up front, then that helps as you move along while you're helping them on their own journey.
You know, Teresa, that's so good. And just write this down, everybody. People aren't going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how you made them feel. I'll want to join your team when I sincerely feel the questions you're asking me is that you want to garner and discern an understanding of who I am and what I'm wanting to do. There are people who I say, I don't think this business is for you, but I tell you what, I'll do anything I can to help you pursue this or this or this. Does that make sense? You know, it's like I will say, I just don't think this business is for you. And, you know, for whatever reason, you know, and that's anyhow. Same thing when people come on board. I'm like, you know, you see executive director, you want to grow to executive director. How based on your past experiences, how do you see yourself growing an ED position? John, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put some billboards out there on I-40, and I'm going to promote Legal Shield through billboards. I'm like, okay. Based on 27 years in this business, 30 years, 35 years almost all together, I've never seen one person do that and be successful. How about if I give you some ideas on how we really build this business that creates success and I save you $20,000, $30,000? Would you be interested? Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? See, that's the beauty of kind of treasure hunting, asking questions, digging deep and things like that. So, all right. It's 9:41. I'm about 10 over. Page 84. I love the way the book wrapped up. There's always room to grow. I liked, let me go back. I like number 3, courage on page 80. Harriet Tubman, what courage, liberty or death? I'm going to have liberty or I'm going to have death. Talk about courage. Just a small little black lady basically saving the world. Oh my gosh. Then she becomes, you know, she becomes the, I don't want to use the word celebrity, but she becomes the go-to from a leadership perspective with people like Frederick Douglass, the vice president to Abraham Lincoln, They're like, let's talk to Harriet Tubman. My gosh. That's a leader of leaders. Number 4, success. You don't have to have a lot of success in this business, but what you do need to have is a product testimony and a recruiting testimony. If you're brand new, borrow others. In the meantime, put yours together. That's why the first 90 days is so critical. Number 6, how do you add values to others? How do you add value to others? I really like to come back to this next Monday when we talk. 3-way calls, PDAs, warm market, tell me, show me, let me, grow me. The consumer folder, sit down, celebrate, recognize, edify. You guys know how we add value to others. We do it almost weekly. Hopefully you're doing it daily. Anyhow, any final comments before we kind of wrap this up? And number 6 is the question I want to come back to next Monday before we go into the next chapter in the law of intuition. But how do we add value to others? I'd like to hear what you guys think as we open up the call next week. Please don't let me forget that as my note page is full right here. Any closing comments from any of you guys?
Yeah, John, this is Jane.
Yeah, Jane.
I'd like to suggest, could you send us the questions in an email before the Zoom? That way we have the questions as a reminder. Because sometimes it goes too fast for us to write them down. Unless we're just talking about questions right out of the book.
Yeah.
We can listen to your replay, John. That's what I do. I've been going and just, catching the tail end of the replay the week, and it's right there also.
Thanks, Brenda. That makes my life easier for sure.
Right, that's why I said that. I knew it'd make your life easier.
I have another.
If somebody on this wants to be my co-host and note taker, I'll give you something that we can send out. I thought maybe I would make it easier today versus giving you 3 or 4 questions. Jane, I get it. I understand what you're asking. But that's why I thought maybe next week we'll just kick it off with one question. How do you add value to others? So let's just leave it at that. And I think everybody can write that one down. Kelvin, did I interrupt you?
I was just going to say what I do is I record the call on my phone. So I got it now.
That's good. It's also recorded, and to Brenda's point, it's up on Shield Nation. So you can scroll through and grab the tail end of it too. So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's more helpful for me, guys.
Sure.
Jane, my heart is good. I would like to tell you yes, but by the time I start to get into it, my phone will ring 10 times and I'm out.
Well, we appreciate that these are recorded, so we can go back and
All right.
listen to it.
Perfect. I like that. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all are
Thank
awesome.
you.
Listen, before we end, I'm in College Park, March 8th. Okay. Our event with my dear friend Teresa Johnson. So Teresa and I and Will Dazzy and the team, it's a fantastic event. Will does a top-notch job. It's very, very good event, very professional. So look, the Baltimore event is in the Northeast, guys. Built into Maryland. Long distance package, one long distance package a week. You and whoever you might have on your team, who do you know in the Northeast? Who do you know in the Northeast? Who do you know in the Northeast? And that Northeast is a big area. You can encompass about 10 states. All right. Denver, Colorado, March 21st and March 22nd. Cheryl Garcia for a solutions meeting on Friday, luncheon, Super Saturday. Okay. And
Can't wait.
we are having a Shield Nation breakout with worship in the morning. So I'm just waiting for the company to give us our room and details. Okay.
Okay.
Ciao.
Thank you, John. Have a dandy night.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone with a
Thank
big
you,
comment.
sir.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Send
John.
your
Tomorrow
flyer,
night, Mr.
John. I
Hoffman.
sent it to
Sounds
you
good.
to put on the Shield Nation.
All right. Yeah, Trish hasn't been in this week due to weather, but she'll be in tomorrow. I'll get this put up, Teresa. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night. God bless.